Awesome. Uh, Hi everyone. I'm Om, President of Theos India, and I'm really happy to be conducting this session, and it's one of a favorite session of mine, and I really hope that all of you find this session very informative. We have done a couple of workshops for those who want to learn more about how to write contracts in SmartPy, how to integrate with your front end using Taketo, and about token standards FA1.2, FA2, and even as simple as introduction to the Tezos. Please watch our previous videos where you can find more information about all of these topics. Today's session is going to be about uh, a tool or an interaction standards in Tezos ecosystem that we have. It is called Beacon. And what basically Beacons enables is that it enables it enables you to connect with the dApp using your choice of wallet, right? So for those who are familiar with Ethereum, it is you can think of it as a similar solution as Wallet Connect or Wallet Link. And for those who are not familiar with Ethereum or Theos or any other blockchains, for example, this is basically like interaction standards, which enables you to connect to any dApp or decentralized application using any wallet. And for that, the wallet and the dApp both has to integrate this interaction standard, and they will be communicating. They will be able to communicate with that application and be able to transact, or send operations and stuff like that. Uh, it basically and why this solution is very useful is basically, if let's say you have mobile wallets, like one of the mobile wallet is built by the airgap team itself. You can hold your private keys and your information in your mobile wallet, and then you can connect with any applications on web, or you can on mobile itself, and you can make transactions and interact with the applications. And it basically sort of makes it easier for user to connect with different applications, be it on web or on mobile, using just one single wallet. So without further ado, let me introduce uh, today's session, and we have Andy here from the team AirGap, who is going to take the session. Andy has a bachelor's degree in computer science, and he has been involved in the open source community for many years. And he joined the AirGap team 4 years ago and has since dedicated most of his work towards building a secure wallet and secure wallet solutions. And also, he has worked a lot in the domain of simplifying interoperability between dApps and wallets in the Tezos ecosystem, right? So I'm really I welcome Andy to this session, and Andy, please take away from me and take us through the entire beacon, how to integrate it, how to interact with it, and how to build solutions on top of it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so thank you a lot for the introduction. Yeah, so I guess let's get right to it. First of all, I would like to apologize if there is a bit of background noise. I'm sorry about that. I hope it's okay. So yeah, I will quickly start by sharing my screen, which I cannot. Now I can see. Okay, so I'm assuming that you can all see my screen. Let me know if that is not the case. So yeah, let's quickly start into small introduction. So it was already mentioned that Beacon is basically something like Wallet Connect for Ethereum, but for the Tezos ecosystem. If we go a bit more into the technical differences, there are quite a few, because we basically looked at the things that were existed in the ecosystem on Ethereum and other blockchains, and we kind of wanted to combine the best of what we've seen into an even better product. And basically, the wallet beacon or beacon is what we came up with. So the most important advantage, in my opinion, over things like Wallet Connect and MetaMask in the Ethereum ecosystem is that you have one SDK and one kind of communication standard between both browser extensions and mobile wallets, or any other wallets for that matter. So you as a developer, you basically just, you don't have to care if the user is using a browser wallet or a mobile wallet, desktop wallet, web wallet. They're basically all the same. You do not have to worry about that. Whereas in the Ethereum ecosystem, if you wanted to connect to most of the wallets, you would do Wallet Connect. Then if you wanted MetaMask, which most people also want, you had to integrate another SDK and so on. So it was, the ecosystem was quite more, like, I would say, fractured a bit. And we wanted to make that better in that we support everything in one SDK. Yeah, and that was our initial kind of goal that we set out to solve when we started with the Beacon project about 2 years ago. And then there is another, like, more technical difference, because we are relying on the matrix, or now known as element network, which means it's a peer-to-peer network that both the wallets and the dApps are connecting to connect to talk to each other. It's like, whereas the Wallet Connect system actually uses a centralized server, which can be hosted by any dApp or wallet, but generally it's like it goes over one single point, and in the Beacon system, you basically go connect to one node that connects internally, like, to many different nodes in a peer-to-peer fashion. Okay, so I think that's enough for the theory. Let's start right into the demo for those of you that don't know how it works. So we have a like, kind of as a side project, we built this project called TZ Colors. It was one of the first NFT platforms. We released it about half a year ago. That also included auctions, and it's very simple. You basically can buy color artwork on here. So if we go to Explore tab, you can see we have about 1,700 colors that you can buy for, or actually buy in an auction for some price. As you can see, some went for quite high prices, like 300 Tez. I think the most expensive one was the color coffee for 2,000 Tez. Yeah, so basically now that we see this website, the first question is, how can I, for example, participate in this one? How can I see my colors? How can I participate in an auction? And for that, you need to connect your wallet. And now we can see there is a connect wallet button here. If I click it, then the Beacon pop-up will show up. This pop-up that we see here is basically there by default in the Beacon SDK. So if you integrate what I will show you afterwards, like the snippet, into your dApp, this will be there out of the box. You don't have to do anything. And as you can see here, now we have a couple of options. So we can either choose Spire, which is a browser extension that we also develop. You can use Temple, which is by the Madfish team, an extension like MetaMask. Or you can use Galleon, a desktop wallet, or Kukai, a web wallet. If you are going with a mobile wallet, then you can actually scan the QR code. We will see that later. By the way, the reason why I have two Spire wallets here is because I'm actually using the development version. So if you download it from the store, then that should be the active one. So yeah, let's just select the wallet. Let's go with Spire for now. And you can see the browser extension pops up. And we can see that the dApp TZ Colors is asking for our permission, for permissions to use this address that we have previously set up in our extension. So I can give a couple of permission scopes that I want that kind of, I give the dApp permission to do, like sign transactions or request operations. And the threshold one that is not really used, so we can ignore that for now. And now I can confirm this, and as you can see, we again get like a default pop-up that is provided by the Beacon SDK that said the permission has been granted. And we can see now we are connected to this address, and I can actually open it in the Block Explorer and so on. This is only a test wallet. I just generated it before. So if I go to my colors, we will actually see that I don't have any colors yet because it's a new account. Now, so this is basically how it works if you have a browser extension. Now let's disconnect again and actually use a mobile wallet. I'm using AirGap Wallet as an example. So on the right, you can actually see my phone. I have one account here that has some Tez on it. If I now scan, open the scanner, and I scan this QR code, then it will establish a connection to the peer-to-peer network. And now we should get an alert. Yes. Okay. And exactly. So it first established the connection to the peer-to-peer network, and once that was done, and establishing the connection on a more technical level is basically exchanging a private key. Sorry, not a private key, the public key. So a secure connection can be established between both parties because all the traffic is encrypted. So, and we can see now we have the same permission request screen again. Can give the scopes here and click connect, and then we can see in the top right that we are now connected. So this is basically how it works to connect to a DApp. Now, once we are connected, besides obviously like giving the DApp access to our address, which means that the DApp can fetch some like information about our address, we can also do something with this. So now, I mean, because I don't have that much Tez on the wallet, I cannot actually buy any of those colors. But let's just assume that that I will. So I bid on this color, and now there will be a request sent, or there should be a request sent. Oh. Okay, so that did not work, which is strange because actually it should, while it's preparing, it should show a pop-up, which leads me to believe that sadly this is somehow related to a node error, but let's just move on for now. We'll see another example of this. Yeah, so newer version, so there's also support for Umami wallet. So again, let's pair AirGap. And here on this tab, we should then be able to see all the balances that we have on the different for the different tokens. So yeah, let's connect. Yeah, and now we can see our test balance, and down here we actually I haven't used this website in a while. I don't actually know where this is supposed to show up. Maybe it's because our test wallet doesn't have any tokens, but basically here it should show you like all the pools or farms that you are invested in, like Plenty, for example. Yeah, so but I think you get the idea of what is possible with Beacon. Okay, cool. So let's talk more about the technical implementation. So it's actually fairly straightforward to integrate all of this into your DApp. So the main project, or the main SDK, sorry about that. The main SDK here is actually written in TypeScript, and this simple snippet here is basically all that you need to connect to the wallet. So you first instantiate a DApp client, give it a name. That's the name that you see in the permission request. And then you call request permissions on that client, and that's basically it. Then you either, after a while, either the success is kind of called, and you have the permissions, or the catch is called, which means that you have an error. For example, if the user rejects the permission request and he aborts the action. So then there is also an example for how you integrate it into a wallet, but that is not really relevant because most people, they only care about the DApp integration. So yeah, I mean, it might look like this is not all of it, but this is actually everything that you need to have a simple connection set up. Now, of course, there are some more advanced examples which we have covered in our docs. So if you have any questions, or you want to get some ideas and examples, this is probably the place you want to start. docs.walletbeacon.io. Here, I mean, besides like a list of all the dApps that are out there that are using the Beacon SDK with the corresponding version, that we have a lot of information regarding the whole SDK, like some design decisions and so on. But we also have like a getting started guide that should explain how you get started with Beacon in more detail. So for example, this is very simple. How you install it into your project. And then I heard that you already had a session about Taquito, because most people, if you have a complex step, most people actually want to use the Taquito abstraction and not the Beacon SDK directly. So you would install Taquito and the Taquito Beacon Wallet package, because this one internally actually includes the Beacon SDK, but it gives you kind of an abstracted API that allows you to work with Taquito. So contract calls, for example, are much simpler. So let's quickly look at this example. And we can see again that it's basically the same that we've seen in the docs before. So yeah, this is like you import it, you create the app client, you request permissions, and then either you get it or you get an error. And then another concept that is very important is basically every time the Beacon SDK stores the data or its state in the local storage. So every time the dApp is loaded, it actually knows if it has previously been connected and what the account is that it was connected to. So usually what you want to do is you want to actually run this piece of code on every like dApp start that you have, so or like every page refresh, because you basically go and you check, do we have an active account, meaning that we are connected and we have received an address? And if yes, then you can like show it in the UI or do whatever you need with that address. And if not, then you will just assume that the user is not yet connected, meaning that he either disconnected or he is basically a new user. So if we go back to a dApp and think about this, basically now if I refresh this page, I will see that basically what we did internally is we called get active account, we saw that there was actually an address, and then we displayed it here in the UI. So that's pretty straightforward. And then basically the next step, this is what sadly didn't work on TZ Colors, but we can actually try it in the interactive docs here, is you can send some kind of operation request. So this is, again, let me emphasize, this is what you only use for simple operations. You do not want to use this for complex contract calls where you have to provide many different parameters and so on, because that is like you should do that with Taquito, which we'll see in a second. But here we basically have a very simple, let's go through the whole script. Like we connect to the dApp client or to the network, then we get the permissions like we mentioned before, and here we we get the active account, and here we actually have the flow is the following, that if we are not connected, we actually do the permission request directly. And if we are connected, then we basically just continue. So this snippet here, you would call every time a user does any kind of action on your page, because basically then it is clear that the user wants to do something with Beacon. And then it means that he basically has to connect to the wallet first to be able to do that. And then here's the interesting part. We can call request operation, and we can give an array of operations, or actually partial operations, to the wallet. So here, for example, we can see that we want to send the kind should be a transaction. The destination is my own address, and the amount is 1 mu-TES. So it's not 1 TES, it's actually 1 mu-TES. So to just try this out, let's run this code. And we can see we get greeted with this screen again. Let's select AirGap wallet. Let me scan the QR again. Okay, so we give permissions. Now we can see we are connected, and immediately afterwards, this code will send us this operation request, and now we can see on the right side, we basically have an operation request from the beacon docs. It is from our own address. We send one mutez, and then the fee has already been calculated, and the two addresses also the same, because that's what we defined in here. Obviously, you can use any address you want. And if we see the details, then we can see that a lot of the stuff, like for example, the counter, the fee, gas limit, storage limit, that has been calculated for us by the wallet. So you do, as a dApp developer, you do not have to care about these things. The wallet will take care. Some wallets will even give you like an option to use a slider for a different fee and so on. That's like up to the wallet, to the user's wallet to do that. You as a dApp developer, you just have to define the things that are really necessary, like the destination and the amount. And of course, if you want that, you can also attach contract calls here. So let's just, as an example, actually execute this operation. So this is now AirGap Wallet, which is a bit different from regular wallets in that it has two separate apps, and AirGap Vault actually contains the private keys of your account. So if I now say same device, we actually switch over to the other app that has the private key, and we can again confirm this, the transaction details. I can sign it, send it back. The AirGap wallet application that has internet access opens again, and then I can confirm. But just so there isn't any confusion, this is only specific to the AirGap wallet. And here we can see that it was successful. We can open it in the Block Explorer. So the whole process we saw now, this is with the app switching. That's like a specific implementation detail of AirGap wallet. If a user uses, for example, Noun wallet, this will not be the case. So it will be much more straightforward. Okay, so let's wait a second here, because the operation has to be included. But in general, I think, yeah, let's just continue and check back in a second. It should just, like if there is no network congestion or something, which I didn't check before, it should be included very soon. Yeah, so this is basically, I would say, the main features that you need to build a dApp. Now let's look at the Taquito part of it, because that's probably what you guys will be using. So it's actually very, very simple, or very similar. You just have to include a couple of extra packages to get Taquito working, but this is not something beacon specific. That's just something that you have to do when you use Taquito. So if you do that and you set up the wallet provider and everything, then the whole flow for such a simple send operation is exactly the same. So you get the active account, or you request permissions if you don't have it. And important is, if you use this beacon wallet abstraction, you can actually get access to the beacon SDK client like this. Okay, so let's now, after we've seen a very, very simple example, let's actually look at a more advanced example. So here, again, this is something that you probably, wait, let me quickly check. So this is just something a little bit more advanced, like for example, you can have a dark theme of the UI and so on. So you can just look through the docs and see what is possible. Like for example, you can also get a special link that points to the Block Explorer of the transaction that you have just sent, and so on. Yeah, and one important thing is actually also if you ever want to disconnect the wallet, which is basically here clicking disconnect wallet, what you want to do is you want to call wallet.clearActiveAccount or client.clearActiveAccount, depending if you use Taquito or Beacon SDK directly. What this will do is it will keep the information of that account that you have previously paired in the local storage, but it will kind of set a flag that you are no longer actively connected to it. So you can later kind of reactivate the connection. But at this moment here, like if you do after you do this, your dApp will behave the same as if you were never connected before. So for example, now if I click here again, you will see the pop-up again. That is because we called clear active account. So now let's go here and take a look at the contract calls. So yeah, here you can actually see this is now how you would construct a contract call using plain beacon SDK, no Taquito involved. So you actually have to construct this yourself, like parameters, the entry points, and then the value. And depending on what the values are, you have to worry about how it's encoded and so on. So if you want to do that, you can. But most people, they do not really want to do that. They will just use Taquito as an abstraction because, as you can see here, it's a lot simpler. You basically fetch the contract at the specific contract address, and then you call this set color method on that contract. I mean, set color is obviously a specific method on our contract, and then you just pass in the arguments, and Taquito will actually let you know if you put in the wrong value, like if it should be a string but you are passing a number, or it will handle all the encoding for you. It will also allow you to do batch transactions and so on. So it's a lot more advanced, and you should definitely be using the Taquito snippets for these things. Yeah, and here we basically just have some more examples, like of an FA2 transfer, for example. You can just, I guess, you can just go through them if you, well, if you have a specific use case that you need in your dApp. Then I think the last thing to mention is that we actually have the, the errors that are returned from the wallet to the dApp. They are very generic, meaning that they are just like they are saying something went wrong. The only actual error that you get back is in the if the contract gives you an error. For example, this one, you can you get the raw error from the RPC back, so you can actually show that in the UI. Like you can, for example, show the error code that happened, and if you want, then in your dApp you can have human readable errors that map to a specific string or like enum that is used in the contract, and you can let the user know. Like for example, here you could have in an FA2 contract, you would sometimes get insufficient token balance, which is pretty self-explanatory, but you could actually just say to the user, oh, it looks like you don't have enough balance or something like that. Okay, so I think that is actually already it. Maybe if I forgot something, then let me know. But otherwise, I think I would be open for questions now. Maybe in general, if you have any questions about these things, it's especially for the kind of standard use cases, we probably have it covered in a way. So if something doesn't work as you expect it to work, then you're probably doing something wrong or you misunderstood something. So it's better to just quickly reach out to us or to me, and I can clear it up. Like you can either do that on like by creating an issue on our GitHub. You can just create one here, and I will reply as soon as I can. Or you can join our Discord and directly ask in the chat if you prefer that. Yeah. So I think that's it from my side. Thank you for listening, and happy to answer any questions. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much, Andy, for taking up a wonderful session on how to integrate multiple wallets in front end for signing transactions using Beacon. I think we can keep the session open for a quick Q&A from the audience and see if we have any questions coming up from the audience to answer. to have them answered.
Sure. So now that you just mentioned transaction signing, while we wait, I actually forgot to mention that we have two separate calls to you, or two separate messages that you can send to a wallet. The one that I was now always talking about is actually an operation request, which means you can just tell the wallet what you want to do, like you want to send one Tez to that address, or like a contract call. But you could also do a signing request, which means you already have some data prepared and you basically just want the wallet to sign this data block. This is, for example, in regular use cases where you interact with a contract, this is not really necessary. But for example, if you want to like authenticate that the user actually has the address or is owner of the address that he claims to be, that is something that you can use. So just wanted to say that this is also possible.
Okay. So we don't have any questions coming in from the audience. I think we can wind up the session. Once again, thank you so much for taking up the session. Have a pleasant day.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day. Bye.